I did my persuasive speech topic on why a college student athlete should graduate before going to the pros. The general purpose of the speech is to inform people on the risk it could be by going pro too early. For some, coming straight out of high school and having enough talent to go straight to the pros is a dream for every kid growing up. I personally did not experience that, being in the situation of going pro and never finishing college. The thing is, getting a college degree is a big thing. The pro team that drafts a player will usually pay for that player to go back to college and get their degree if they either didn't want to play in the pros anymore, or they got hurt, or it just never worked out for them and they never made it far. I think it's a good reason for a person to go ahead and graduate and get their degree before going to the pros. Half of the players that go back to college that have a chance to go back to college never do, because they don't really have the determination to go and get their degree anymore. It is an important topic because it is affecting today's economy, because some of the greatest athletes could be a lawyer or a doctor or a policeman that could help in the work field, and not everybody goes to the pros. There are many college athletes in all types of sports that lead to go to college early. Sometimes it can be a huge mistake because that player might not be mentally ready, they might not be physically ready. A lot of things can happen to someone. They could lose all that money by not being careful with it because he or she is so young. Also, leaving college too early and try to play in the pros could hurt your body, because like I said, your arms, your legs might not be fully developed yet. And being on the road constantly could hurt a player mentally. They wouldn't know how to handle their own being on their own, because they didn't get that experience in college. In college, you're on your own, and you have a little bit of structure with coaches and people who just are there to take care of you basically, but you're still on your own, you're living on your own. That's why I think college athletes should wait until they graduate to go pro. Being young and having a lot of money is a big responsibility. When young athletes go to the pros, they usually get big paychecks. More than half of them go out and buy big, nice, expensive things that they want or give to somebody. When rookies go to the NFL, they go through rookie training camp. The NFL sits these guys down and tells them how it's going to be once they get their paycheck, because a lot of people that they think they know are going to just use them now for all their money, and a lot of them might be gullible enough to actually let them do that. Not a whole lot of young people would know how to spend that money and what to spend it on and not to spend it on, how much to save. That's why I think it's wrong for a student athlete to go pro before he or she graduates. Also, a lot of people say, like I said, the best friends thing, and just to get their money. Without a financial supervisor or like an agent, it would be hard for a young athlete to keep themselves in control when it comes to millions of dollars. Getting hurt in the pros at a young age is a horrible thing to happen to any kind of person who plays football, basketball, baseball, or anything. It might be a good thing to get fully developed for a young athlete's body so they can last longer in the pros. When high school athletes go to college, they work with better coaches and they get bigger, faster, and stronger. As hard as it is going from high school to college, just think how hard it is from going high school to pros. Which are the best of the best. People they're the best of the best at their sport, and they compete at the highest level day in and day out. There have been many cases where a college baseball or football player has gotten hurt in college because they may have stayed off 4 years. They might have gotten hurt their freshman or sophomore year, but they can wait until their senior year to go pro and recover, and they get drafted and make millions. When someone gets hurt in the pros, it's easy to replace that person, because once you make it that far, everybody's good. Leaving early and not getting the right amount of experience is a massive risk of injury. Being a young baseball player that is always traveling and on the road and not near his family is a hard thing for them to do. Also, things could get taken to a worse extreme, because with a lot of these players comes a lot of money, which is which could be drugs, alcohol, and they can abuse that. And there's been many players in the NFL and Major League Baseball that have abused alcohol and drugs. It is hard for a younger kind of player to continue their life on their own. The big name athlete being out on their own is a tough thing to do. Sometimes they can abuse their freedom because they are not mature enough to live on their own yet. Parents should consider all of these factors before letting their child leave. If they see their child is not mature enough yet, going to college will help them grow into their maturity. I don't think college student athletes should be allowed to go pro before they graduate. They need to get the full college experience, which is classroom and on the field, so they can have a good understanding of what it's going to be like in the pros. A college education will always be useful when getting a job in the work field. However, just because you played NFL football for a long time doesn't mean you'll always get a job. The famous saying is, what are you going to do when they take your ball away? And a lot of athletes don't realize that, but you always have to have a backup plan. We all want to see these athletes at their best, so this is a good way to start seeing that so they can stay healthy and not get hurt. Nobody wants to see a young athlete with all kinds of talent shorten his or her career because they move on too fast to the pros. My sources, I got some of my sources from NCAA.org. The article was written by Brian Burnshead, written on July 17, 2012. I also got another source from ESPN, the magazine, written by John Anderson, which was on July 3rd, 2012. My last source I got from a handbook written by the NCAA, which had a lot of statistics for those who's more likely to go pro and from what sport, and also which sport has more athletes to go pro. This was a brochure from the NCAA Clearinghouse. And in this video, this is my visual aid.
There are 380,000 NCAA student athletes. And most of us go pro and something other than sports. Something other than sports. To learn more, go to ncaa.org.
That's the end.